System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' inner city left.
This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Today is Thursday, October 16th. I'm Amin TMK alongside Amoja, Lil Tanky Sumler. Amoja, hello. Happy Thursday. How are you doing?
Man, just another day in the wonderful time of peacetime. It's peace o'clock, bro. I'm loving this piece.
Oh, man. Piece of time. Peace of time. When peace is on a bagel, you can have peace anytime. You like that shit? Yeah, I'm working on a little something, little jingle.
They're getting that. That's in the 20-point plan, right? They're getting a pizza party for their participation.
Man, it reminds me of working in a nonprofit organization. Yeah, a little bit of, not a raise, but some dominoes. Yeah, let's jump into that because this is this conversation now about a ceasefire. We know that that's not really a real ceasefire. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. We can talk a little bit about that.
Let's get it.
Because, yeah, I think everyone knows what's really going on here.
You said ceasefire. Well, yesterday Israel killed 7 people in Khan Yunis and in Shujaiya neighborhood in Gaza City. Today Israel abducted 9 people in Rafah. So I don't understand. I mean, it's true that the bombs stopped falling on people, on our families. It's true, but still the ceasefire is not a real ceasefire. If there is a ceasefire, then you should be able to go to Gaza and follow the funerals of the Palestinian people whose bodies are being retrieved, just like the bodies of my cousins. And the Rafah border crossing, why hasn't it been opened?
Just want to add a few more things, and I'm going to give it right back to you. This morning, Israel killed a Ansarallah, as also known as the Houthis, a general. That has been confirmed. It was on Yemeni TV. Also, they're attacking southern Lebanon again. And you now have these leaders like General President Sisi, they're having these meetings. Everyone's applauding themselves. Yay, great job. Amazing work getting a ceasefire, after 100,000 or more Palestinians dead, Gaza completely destroyed. If you see the photos and truly how crazy they are, everyone's kind of patting themselves on their back. But do you agree with the Palestinian? I think he was a poet as well, who was just speaking. And, what is this ceasefire? What is this really about? What's going on?
Nah, he really nails it, right? Think about this. I think the most telling thing he said is the borders haven't opened. Okay, the Rafah crossing, which crosses and connects Gaza to Egypt, that's still closed. People act like it's just a humanitarian conflict because Israel blew everything up and Gaza, all of the food disappeared. No, they did blow everything up, but at least there was always the ability to trade with Egypt, like most countries should have the ability to do, right? To buy goods. To sell goods, to have an economy. The fact that the Egyptians are still on one side of the border, maintaining that only so many trucks come across, because let's not act like there isn't tons of aid that is going into Egypt right now. It's just it never gets across the border. Egypt army is protecting that border, not allowing those goods to go through. And on the other side of that border is the Israeli military that is not allowing these goods to go through. So people donate out of the goodness of their heart, and it rots in a truck at a border crossing that's made to make sure that nothing gets through. That is how cynical and sick this whole situation is. It's a ceasefire, but the border crossings haven't opened. People aren't allowed to go and do commerce and because you're going to need to go to Egypt to buy materials just to begin reconstruction of Gaza, So it's still an occupation. They're still enforcing it at gunpoint. The Palestinians are not expected to do anything back, but the Israelis get to do whatever we want. And just so that it doesn't even feel like it's just us talking. Even Trump has admitted that Hamas is not violating the ceasefire deal. So all of the violations are coming one way. And this is what it always is with Israel. They're the ones that are still bombing Syria. They're the ones that are still bombing Lebanon. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's ceasefire, which means you don't hit us anymore, but we'll still hit you, when Namuda, reaches us.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, the officials said that, there was no ceasefire break, at least on Hamas's point, because, just like everything in this country, there's multiple people saying multiple different things because, this morning Trump said that, he would go in and kill Hamas. I think that was exactly an exact quote, over sort of, like just general presence there. It doesn't seem as if, or not to seem, it isn't. There is not a ceasefire. There's not anything in place to return Palestinians to their homes. And there's there's not even a way to conduct business anymore in Palestine, because if you again, the rubble is so thick, it's so intense. There are still human beings in the rubble. There are still funerals that need to happen. And it's just already, you can see the Western and Israeli propaganda is Hamas is about to break the ceasefire. Hamas is going to break the ceasefire. But we already have multiple deaths that are happening literally the day after the ceasefire, 12 deaths. It's like we were seeing 100, 150, 80, 75 dead Palestinians every day. Now, it's a ceasefire, so 7 to 10. No, that's not a big deal. But mass casualties still occurring. I mean,
and to be sure, even if the Israelis stop shooting people right now, people are still going to continue to die, and those should be counted as Israeli deaths. Because malnutrition is not something you fix by we started eating again. Now that the food is back, malnutrition is over. No, organs are still failing. This is going to be a higher incidence of disease. Never mind that all of the hospitals in Gaza have been destroyed by the other team. We stopped that lie after the second hospital got hit. If Israel stops shooting people right now, Gazans are going to continue to die just based upon the material conditions of what state that Gaza is in right now.
Yeah, and I mentioned a little bit earlier that they also have been striking inside of Lebanon again. That was supposed to be a ceasefire. That's not being upheld because that's not what Israel does. But we also saw the general in Yemen also hit today. So what does that show in terms of creating a culture and an air of peace when you stop your bombing campaign? At least that's the only thing that's really stopped is the bombing campaign. But you still hit major officials in Yemen. You still are bombing other countries. You are still having this intense rhetoric behind the scenes of the Baron Harkonnen kill 'em all, which we know has already been said several times by several different officials in Israel. And, Netanyahu's still hanging out. A lot of things really haven't changed. We are just returning back to the status quo, and that is unacceptable. That's just far and beyond what...
and everyone's just accepting it, right? And I don't mean like the regular people. Of course, the regular people are. I mean like people that are powerful, people that supposedly have power around the world. They talked about the photo that went around the world that brought world peace because everybody was mad. Putin hugging Giuliani. What the fuck was that? Liberals are mad. Oh, Giuliani, you're hugging Putin. Communists are mad. Putin, what the fuck you doing with this op? Everybody, it brought everybody together and what the hell is this? Never mind the fact that Assad still has political asylum in Russia, right? So these are weird things, Putin has been extremely weird over the last month. And it's hard to get a fix for what is his game, what he's trying to do, There's all kinds of reports of in Russia, people are talking to Lavrov, what is going to be the what are going to be the next moves, And, Lavrov is like, well, we'll have to see what happens if, they get the tomahawks or if they fire in, we put out proposals to Trump, but we still haven't heard anything back. And the reporters are like, you're hearing the answer. They're giving the Ukrainians tomahawks. This is what I'm saying when we're saying there is unrest building in Russia itself. Like you guys are needing to make a stronger move than what is happening. People are becoming displeased. They want to see this move faster.
Yeah.
Even if Russia is winning based upon the terms that they've set, they're destroying everything that NATO was sending in. But, the longer this goes on, the more dangerous it gets.
It reminds me of the conversation we had earlier about China, like what China is and isn't doing. They're not shaking hands with Julani. That's for one thing, and that's something that Russia's got to this was a little too far. You've gone a little too far. And, again, it's just the pressure that everyone has because the United States can come in and basically destabilize your country, however it is. If it's a cultural grenade, whether it's, stirring unrest or paying for protesters, you may have a Luffy flag from One Piece out there. Lots of different things America can come in and do and try to ruin your standing in your country. And I think Putin understands that. And he's trying to do what he can to find a middle ground, but there's not a middle ground. And that brings me to this because I want to show you this as well because, man, I don't know if we got into this, but the Nobel Peace Prize winner, my friend, yes, quite the doozy. It is not Donald Trump, which I guess is sort of a win. But this is Venezuela election loser Maria Corina Machado. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. As you know, she was unallowed. She was not allowed to run in the Venezuelan elections, so they had another puppet kind of run, but she was the one who was backed. Now, we've mentioned this before. I've mentioned this before. When Nicolas Maduro came out of the election booth in Venezuela the day of the election, he made a point to say free Palestine. Okay. When the right-wing candidate came out, he mentioned that Israel, all the hostages will be returned, and our faith and our thoughts are with Israel. So I just want to go ahead and show this because we're seeing an escalation in Venezuela, and this I think is a great reason because when you have a country that is not pro-Israel or not pro-Western, there starts to build up a lot of animosity or just a lot of whatever. And Marco Rubio wants his place gone. So some people saying the elections was rigged and all this other stuff, I just want you to see the type of person that was running against Nicolas Maduro.
Maria Corina Machado, gracias. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you, and we'll stay in touch. And I promise one day we'll have a close relationship between Venezuela and Israel. And I believe, and I can announce this, that our government will move our Israeli embassy to Jerusalem. That will be part of our support to the state of Israel.
Wow, in God's will. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have that happened. Okay, so I now have to shift over because we do have a non-leftist president in South America, my friend. His name is Javier Milei, and he's been getting something the kids like to say, a bag. Now, I personally don't know how $20 billion can just get found in the United States government simply because, there seems to be a lot of things that we need to be paying, things like student loan debt, reparations, land back, Medicare, just general medical expenses, affordable housing, all of those other things. Breaking news, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, this guy. He talks a little bit, he's like this, just a general, Trump said. And he said all options are on the table for the Trump administration to support Argentina through a bout of severe market volatility is how the Financial Times looked at it. It's $20 million to Milei. And this is the chainsaw guy hanging out with Trump. $20 million, maybe more on the way. What do you think of Donald Trump and his administration giving $20 billion and maybe $20 billion more?
America first, man. America first.
Yeah.
Never forget, by the way, America first was a United States Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. That was their slogan in the 1920s. So America first. But I find it funny as an American, right? Because as a Black American, my reparations money went to a bunch of Nazis in Ukraine. Okay. And like now, as a person that went to college, my college loan forgiveness is $20 billion. They miracled up, and they're about to miracle up another $20 billion. That's $40 billion of immediate college debt forgiveness that they could have just miracled into the universe, and they didn't. They do it to prop up these dictators. I mean, he's not a dictator, but he's a malign actor. Right? He won an election, and he's used that to defraud the people that voted for him, much like Trump. But the difference between him and Trump is, whereas Trump is trying to at least collect and add to the coffers of the American empire, Milei is simply depleting the natural resources of Argentina. You know, he's already promised away all of his lithium to Elon Musk, which is a big part of why these bets are coming through, right? This is really to prop up hedge funds that have invested in Argentinian rare earth gambits like lithium, you see, so that those guys don't lose their money. And so when you have the president himself making these threats, you know, straight up interference in the Argentinian elections process, saying, if you don't put our guy in, you're not going to get the money. It tells me as certain as ever. If Milei
doesn't win, you will not get American aid. Essentially, that's what he was saying, right?
You're right, but they're not going to get it anyway. Like, it's all going to go to Milei, and it's going to go to Elon Musk and all of the other American venture capitalists that have failing investments that are not paying off in Argentina. He's covering their losses. This is a stopgap. This is a stop loss that they're doing. A backstop on losses for American investors. Make no mistake. So once again, you know, it's rugged capitalism for the poorest people in America. If you can't make it, you're just not smart enough. But it is absolute socialism for all of the richest in America. They can never lose.
And this is who I have to see. This is the president of, look at this, president of our... This is him. This is like a few days ago. For our podcast listeners. This is so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. For our podcast listeners, that is Javier Milei doing in a concert. Peacocking, Mick Jagger up there.
Percolating, yo.
Moves like Jagger.
Maybe it works.
Man, it's just like, this is the type of stuff. Like,
Clown
I want to
shit.
be serious and have serious conversations about geopolitics, but like, it's such a clown show out here in the West. Do you think you could imagine Xi Jinping getting up there and doing something like that? Like, dude, like,
no,
like,
I really can't, and I'm trying hard. I'm trying to
take people serious, man.
I can't even imagine Xi Jinping privately boogieing. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, this dude up there, like, he Taylor Swift himself, man.
Yeah.
All beat, stomping badly, singing
Right, he
all
has far
chord.
more energy on stage than Taylor Swift, I would say, but certainly right up there in terms of very little talent, at least in my opinion. But it's just crazy, man. It's crazy to see that, again, that we could go back to Anthony Blinken at the Nazi
pizza
TGI
place.
Fridays. No, it was the Nazi Bennigan's. I don't know if you remember there. They have potato skins and stuff. They had to take all the Nazi paraphernalia off. We remember Joe Biden and the former president of South Korea having a little song. What was that? Bye bye, Miss American Pie. They thought that was hot. They was like, "Hey, run, do the karaoke machine on him now. Hey, let's duet, run it up." And yeah, like this is man, it's just like, again, the unreality of this world. Why thousands of people die and suffer.
We got Huckabee singing "Sweet Home Jerusalem." I mean, all these little corny politicians out there trying to get their little rock star.
They trying to
man.
AI some lyrics to like switch it up because they don't have a writer of any kind to like try to recreate these songs. And it also goes to show, like, dude, when you don't have no love for the people and you run your life off of just like being a deep state member and like a participant in this, like your soul solely becomes like just, cloudy and small and just, you don't have artistic ability, man. And this is why I think, again, we talk about this a lot, sort of the American export of movies and culture and all these other things is also suffering because you don't put money into the arts, you don't put money into the musicians, and you just get a bunch of goofy politicians doing karaoke, and nobody even wants people like Donald Trump to use their songs and all those type of things. So anyway,
it's not, well, I mean, they understand the unreality of it, right? Not to go Jack Kerouac, to your point, the unreal reality of it all. They know that they're not really the ones calling the shots or any of this. So go out and have fun. You joked about it a little bit earlier when we talked. You were talking about Zelensky. He was an entertainer. All of these guys, Ronald Reagan, they're entertainers. All of these people are just playing roles, you know.
And that's the difference between them and she and, people who are serious. Ibrahim Traore, and there's many leaders that are. Claudia Sheinbaum, Maduro, keep going. List goes on. There's many more. But we don't get that. We get dancing idiots up on stage, people who are in their 80s who don't and can't comprehend really, their place in the world and how they are viewed or any of those things. Anyway, let's give a shout out to our podcast listeners. We're available everywhere you find podcasts. Apple, Spotify, all the good stuff. Even though Apple and Spotify aren't good, but that's a story for another day. Like, comment, subscribe for the algorithms. InnerCityLeft.com, Patreon.com/InnerCityLeft. Be a patron. We have free subscriptions. Tell us hi. Inner City Left on Instagram. New music just dropped yesterday, but for me and Lil Tanky. Go out and stream that. Just that. We got lots of ways that you can support. But the fact you made it far into the video, that makes me happy too, because we just want to tell people the news. I'm like, Ron Burgundy, just read the news, tell you the news.
You better not be like Ron. No. No.
In that regard, I am.
Veto.
Since you jumped in, anything we missed? What are your final thoughts?
Man, I don't know. I think I'm going to pick up sailing. You know what I'm saying? We got the rest of our lives now that it's peacetime. We can stop thinking. I feel so much more at peace, man. I'm an old man anyway. I figure it's time for me to catch me one of them little old man, little hobbies. I think sailboating is perfect. Get a little skiff.
Finally be able to finish my novel.
Yeah.
Congratulations, all. We can go back to peacetime. Someone wished it. Someone actually got the genie, wished for world peace. Instead of $1 million.
And they gave us the angel of Donald Trump to be the bringer of the peace. And through peace, many were laid low.
Yeah, peace through strength.
I read somewhere once.
Don't be reading in books, man. Don't be doing that. Anyway, for Amoja, Lil Tanky Summer, I'm Amin TMK. This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Peace.
System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' Inner City Left.